When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind to Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The 18 that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind to Raw. It is John Pollock. And it's Wai Ting. Surprise, surprise. Hello, Wai.
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Okay. All right.
How are you doing? You never talk about how you're doing.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Well, I'm doing great, actually. It is Chinese New Year. Or we're just past Chinese New Year, I should say. So happy Chinese New Year to anybody celebrating.
This is the year of the tiger?
That is correct. Yes, it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything specific about the year of the tiger that we should know about?
I have no idea.
No,
Not really sure.
It's more just symbolic.
I mean, I'm sure there's some meaning. You know, there's meaning to everything, of course, but nothing I would be able to tell you about.
Did you celebrate today?
I mean, the celebration really would just be in the form of food, you know, so my aunt bought me and my wife dinner. We really bought all of us dinner, but
Nice.
we're still in the midst of a pandemic, I guess, you know, precautions. So we didn't eat together. Like, she got my dad to bring it over to my place, and it was really, really nice, and it was a lot. So I had a bit of itis going into this Raw, I have to say.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you didn't fatigue like an hour into this show.
I kind of did, but, you know, I don't know if it was the itis or if it was the show itself. Maybe a bit of both.
Do you think Ronda Rousey might have been going into this show and was
she celebrating Chinese New Year?
Well, she definitely seemed fatigued by that segment where she came out at the end. She just felt like, let's get this over with.
Yeah, I mean, it was something. You know, do you want to talk about the segment now?
Let's talk about the segment first. I thought that
Sure.
It was not a very inspiring appearance by Ronda Rousey. It felt very flat for me. The promo sounded like this Ronda Rousey. Had she been paired with Becky Lynch, these crowds would be turning the other way on Ronda and getting behind Becky in a big way, I think.
And I think they were about to do that.
Yeah.
If the segment was any longer. And
the punchline at the end was, like, it's Ronda of all... Well, I guess, like, it has to be Ronda that delays this decision. But after all this and promoting, and then she says, well, I'll tell you on Friday. I understand.
Terrible.
Like, they never said she was going to make her decision. But, I mean, that at the end of it was like, you got this little speech from Ronda, and then wait till Friday, and the crowd booed it. I didn't think it was, like, a really great appearance.
I thought it was pretty awful.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know if I would necessarily chalk it up to her not caring.
I'm not saying that's how she came off to me.
Okay.
Like during it just felt like she hasn't cut a promo in a ring in years.
Yeah.
So I can understand a bit of that. Promos were not her forte to begin with. And it really showed in this segment to me. Like, they kept it short, probably by design. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, like, this, like, just watching her and Becky for the limited interaction they had, I'm just envisioning this. If this was what we were getting every week on television, you would have a big baby face in Becky from these crowds, which have not been really going against many of the characters since they've come back last summer. But I think this program would really put that to the test.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, at this point, I think if you're seeing this version of Ronda Rousey that we saw tonight, even up against Charlotte, the result will be much indifference from this audience. But I mean, I would say you might even, you know, put a wager on perhaps the crowd cheering for Charlotte against Ronda at this point. You know, it's clearly, I think, because of the two people that she's you know, being pitted up against, in Charlotte and Becky, who are both heels. Ronda's supposed to be the babyface, but her appearance tonight was anything but. I felt like her performance was that of somebody who's been completely away from this professional wrestling world for a long, long time, hasn't done a great deal of public speaking in that time, and certainly not in the form of a professional wrestler. So tonight, it felt like she really kind of just hung on her script word for word, and, you know, did not feel comfortable at all. And it's a big segment to put somebody out there in, you know, WrestleMania main event level type of, you know, promo segment to close off a show. And she definitely felt ill-equipped for it. So again,
but even more so, Wade, like it was really further emphasized when, I mean, not all that different a circumstance of what we watched seconds later, where you had Lita, who was never renowned for her promos, come out there, big babyface response, and like that was the reaction I think you would have wanted a Ronda Rousey to have, and instead you went off the air, and it was like Lita felt like the big star coming out of this.
Yeah. I mean, part of that was, I think the intent was you probably wanted both of them to feel like stars, but I mean, I'll say, Lita has had much more experience doing this than Ronda Rousey has, and I think, as you get older with age, I think for many professional wrestlers, they tend to feel more comfortable. But Ronda never even hit that comfort nor hit that stride, when in the year that she was an active performer. So coming right out here and pretty cold, going right into this, I think she's somebody who really needs to be protected, especially when it comes to talking like this. I think they really have to question the idea of putting her up against another heel here and not having her be a heel herself, because I don't think this audience is going to gravitate towards her.
Yeah. And it wasn't a case of the crowd being tired either. Like they were pretty up for the Ronda segment. When her music hits, that was a pretty good reaction she got coming out. But yeah, I didn't think it was a great outing for Ronda Rousey, at least week one. So we will see how they follow up with this. And I guess we'll be there on Friday on SmackDown, so we will see. We should go over just a few things that are going on the site this week. And of course, it is the first of the month, so it's a brand new month, and thus a great time to jump aboard the Post Wrestling Cafe to get your true values worth out of the Post Wrestling Cafe. We will be having multiple editions of Rewind Away this month. What else can people look forward to, Way? Shows every single day, it feels like.
Well, yeah, for one thing, we've been doing our post daily news updates. I feel like we're entering our third month now of doing these. Can you believe it, John? Every single day we've done one of these things. And
what were we thinking?
And it looks like we're going to continue because it's been going really well so far. So this week we'll be continuing those 1:00 Eastern time every single weekday. Not just on YouTube now, but also on Twitter and also on Facebook. So if you can follow us on your favorite social media app, you will get these 1:00 Eastern time every single day or in archive afterwards. But if you want to get it directly on your listening device, because many people, like to listen to the podcast as they're jogging. Shout out Robert Brocky, who's a big time jogger. Did you know the Postmaster was like serious jogger, John?
I was not aware of this, but now
Big
I
time.
am.
We're talking
even in the winter. He's a winter jogger.
Yes, he is. Like we're talking. He's been doing this for years. He runs like 5K a day. Like he's maybe more than that. Like I might have got my numbers mixed up, but like he's
5K,
incredible.
That's a commitment to do daily.
It might even be 10. Like I could just be making numbers up right now, and it's all the same to me because I haven't run 0.1K in months, I feel. So anyway, a lot of people like to listen to the podcast when they're jogging or something, and it's a bit more convenient to just get it on podcast rather than having, like a YouTube video play in the background. And it's also predominantly, it's just a way to support the channel. So if you're enjoying our work, consider paying $6 a month to join the Post Wrestling Cafe. Of course, it also comes with Rewind to SmackDown every single Friday. Patrons can tune in live. If you want to be a double plus patron, of course, you can get these live also on Mondays and Wednesdays as well.
Yes, and for Rewind Away fans, this month we'll be doing a Coliseum home video release of WWF's greatest hits from 1991 and WrestleMania 27. So look forward to that this month. PostWrestlingCafe.com. And this week on the site, we will have all of our usual shows, plus a Jun Akiyama biography coming from the long and winding Royal Road. Jojo Remy will be joining WH Park for that. And you can find our entire schedule up at postwrestling.com. Are you ready to chat about Raw, the fallout from the Royal Rumble?
Let's do it, John.
Cincinnati, Ohio, which when I saw Cincinnati and they're coming off, the Bengals getting to the Super Bowl, I thought we would be in store for non-stop slander against this poor football team. But really, it was limited to the Chad Gable comment, and that was about it. They were very tame when it came to, man, we're in a sports team, we're in a town where the sports team is going to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. They really restrict.
Are you sure? Are you sure there wasn't another mention of some football reference?
No, not insults. They had like R-Truth said he was picking the Bengals to win. Right. There were pro mentions of the Bengals, but I just thought there would be every heel would be running down this football team, and we really didn't get that.
Well, hey, maybe
between Britt Baker and Charlotte Flair, they thought that the football teams have been through enough over the last week. Let's give it a break.
No, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who doesn't really follow football at all, I just kind of tuned it all out.
You're picking the Bengals to win.
Sure. Yeah. Who are they going up against?
The Rams.
Oh, okay. Bengals, like a tiger.
Yeah.
How appropriate.
Yep, it's their year.
But we'll see.
The year of the tiger. All right. Let's get into Raw tonight. Worth noting that during one of the commercial breaks here in Canada on Sportsnet 360, they noted that at the house show coming up on March the 6th in Laval, Quebec, they advertised Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre and Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks teaming up against Charlotte Flair and Shayna Baszler.
Interesting. What?
Yes.
Ronda and Shayna on opposite sides?
Yes, that's how it was advertised. So, I mean, this could always change. This was just the local insert ad for the Canadian market, but that's what they're promoting for the show in Laval in a month's time.
It's really strange, and I mean, of course, the natural curiosity is whether or not somebody jumped the gun about a direction that the TV show might be heading towards. So, does that mean they're going to put Shayna and Ronda on opposite sides? Really? Already?
Yeah, I guess we will see. Yeah. It would certainly be an odd move to make, but yeah, perhaps that will be the build, is Shayna aligning herself with Charlotte. So the program began with Adam Pearce in the ring, noting that Bobby Lashley will defend the title at the Elimination Chamber, and Lashley and MVP come out to complain. Lashley puts himself over, being better than Lesnar, a better amateur wrestler, a better MMA fighter, and a better world champion. So Lesnar comes out in his gear, and he asks if Bobby's just going to stand here and pretend to be champion. You didn't beat me on Saturday. You only won because of Reigns and Heyman. But I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad at Reigns and Heyman. I won the Royal Rumble, so I can choose who I face at WrestleMania. And don't worry, Bobby, I'm not picking you. I'm going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But at Mania, it's going to be title versus title. And I'm dressed to fight, and I want my rematch tonight. And the crowd is getting excited that they're going to see Brock wrestle on free TV. This crowd. Adorable to think that. But MVP stops Lashley and says that Lesnar can go right to the back of the line. And we have learned tonight through this and the final segment, if you want a match, don't overthink it. Just simply tell the heel that they're a chicken shit and they will succumb, because ego trumps everything for these heels. And with that, he walks out and Pearce adds Lesnar to the Elimination Chamber match on February 19th, and Lashley's down. He will not be called a chicken shit. So they will go to Saudi Arabia. And so that's kind of the hook for this match, of Lesnar potentially winning the title to make it title versus title at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, first of all, this was Brock coming out here on his own, and we now know that the Heyman heel pairing was just a brief detour, and we've got our fun-loving, big personality Uncle Brock babyface again.
Uncle Brock. Oh my God. Someone needs to do like the Uncle Buck poster with Brock.
He's just like coming out here, like having a great,
get that thing off your face.
He's blasting through the front door, like, like, I don't know, like a box of donuts. Like he's just having a great old time. Like he's truly looking like he's having the best time of his life playing this current incarnation of the character. And he was a full on baby face here. He even fist bumped one of the fans that was ringside. So we're getting a full time babyface Brock Lesnar again, and I'm happy to see the return, because he's just fun to watch. It's so weird seeing this like big monster like be everybody's favorite uncle, but again, it's magnetic to me, and I love watching it. And, this is a hot rivalry, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. So I like the idea that they're at least keeping it alive, at least long enough to head into the Elimination Chamber. Of course, being Saudi Arabia and being the chamber match, they want the star power. And so to put Brock in it, makes sense. Would you have instead perhaps considered a singles match, John, or do you like the idea, or do you think they're kind of forced, to have the chamber match and have Brock Lesnar be a part of it?
I don't think they were forced into any one direction. It was only a question of whether they were going to use this chamber to create the contender or go this way. And I'm assuming that they felt like this would be the best utilization of Brock. It's at least a believable scenario that fans can get into, that you might see a title change in this kind of a match. Just interesting. Like, I would not have predicted going into the weekend that we would have seen Lesnar winning the Rumble and then being put into the chamber match and doing both of those.
It's pretty ridiculous. And like, I do feel like, for all the fans who are complaining, does Brock Lesnar need the Rumble win? Well, I mean, after putting him in the Elimination Chamber right after winning the Rumble, I mean, I can certainly see them having even more fuel for that argument. But ultimately, this is a company that wants to promote Brock Lesnar in the biggest match, headlining matches for their biggest shows. And again, the argument needs to be made about whether or not, you should be booking strictly for headlines and marquees versus what, not putting enough care into the story to actually logically explain why somebody would be there. Nonetheless, I've come to the arrival now, watching this company for this long, that like, this is just simply how they book. What is the most attractive thing that they could put, in the commercial? And that would be Brock Lesnar attached to the Elimination Chamber, even though he already has a world title shot already. I do at least appreciate the fact that they gave us the logic of him wanting to make it a double title shot, which at least gives us some story, to justify why he might want to be there and why he might actually win.
A feud that probably is not going to extend to Elimination Chamber is Rhea Ripley and Nikki A.S.H. This seemed to be the blow-off, but yeah, is there ever such a thing as a blow-off in a WWE program?
No, it's the first of 5.
It could be. It's like, okay, this is the first nail in the coffin, but Rhea's got work to do. So Ripley is just toying with her at the beginning, throwing her around, and then Ripley gets tied up in the ring skirt as Nikki lands strikes. They go through a break, and Nikki hits a tornado DDT, and then a swinging DDT gets countered into the Riptide, and Ripley pins her clean. And that was that.
This was such an unimpressive end to this. I mean, this was a pretty long program. These two started teaming together months ago, and then we had the breakup. But
it's like AJ and Omos, just all this time invested, and the blow, like, you do all this so that you can reap the benefits of, like, you put the time in, so that instead of just having one of these programs where someone teams for 3 weeks and no one emotionally cares when there's a breakup, you have this long relationship and poof, it's just done.
Mm-hmm. I understand, like, usually they do this because they have other plans for like a Rhea Ripley immediately, for perhaps for the chamber. But even if you're just going to do the match on TV, I would expect at least a bit of a video package or maybe a set of promos to build up to the importance of them finally meeting in the ring, right? Instead, it was just like, hey, we're back from commercial break. After the last segment, these two are going to have a match to settle their score once and for all. Clean finish. And then right into the next segment. No real kind of, breathing room afterwards to kind of let it sink in that this saga is over. It's just kind of out of the way, and I guess onto the rematch, perhaps.
Do we get this match next Monday?
I think it's very likely. Yeah. I mean, what else are they going to do? This division is not very deep, and it's not like, like Rhea beating another person is going to mean that much anyway. Like what? Like Rhea versus Carmella next week? Like that it doesn't mean anything. So I could see them just continuing this a little longer.
Well, there's also, you bring up is, okay, so Ronda makes her choice. I think everyone is looking at it going in the direction of Charlotte. What is the mechanism to determine the challenger? Because I would say if you thought that we were going to be getting a women's chamber match, I think they would have wanted that announced tonight. Like, you only have 2 more episodes of Raw to confirm that.
But doesn't it depend on Ronda's choice on Friday?
I guess you could leave it that way too. Yeah, and then announce it next week if you are going.
They can do
that
the. I
direction.
mean, they gave us all the participants after one night of Raw, so they could very well do that next week as well. If there is a women's chamber, there might not even be one.
Well, that's what I'm asking. If not the chamber doing something else, like you do something, set it up on television, because after the chamber match, it's a long stretch until WrestleMania. It's like 6 weeks that they've got, which is an eternity for WWE to just kind of stand pat.
We're also talking at this point, 2 Raw chambers if they are going to do one for this is presumably if Ronda chooses Charlotte. For Becky's challenger, they'll have to have a potentially elimination chamber for the Raw women, which they could do. Like, nobody really cares that much, but it'll be 2 chambers for one brand.
Mm-hmm. The Academic Challenge is a recap from last week, and Kevin Patrick is with Chad Gable and Riddle for the scooter contest backstage. It was interesting who was absent from this show. No Randy Orton, no Damian Priest. Queen Zelina was not out with Carmella. So some notable absences tonight of people that were there on Saturday.
Interesting. We didn't have Damian and we didn't have Priest.
No, neither. Yes, so that counts as 2. Riddle is dedicating this race to Randy, and it's the first one to complete 50 laps of this mystery course backstage and then cross the finish line at ringside. And Gable has contacted his friends in the Olympics, which he notes are streaming on Peacock, which I guess after those streaming numbers came out last week, they're going to be upping the promotion on all programming.
Yeah,
let everyone know. Yes.
We'll get some Office integration.
Yes. It'll also be on the USA Network next week because Raw will be on Sci-Fi next week, as they mentioned.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So please, we'll continue later.
That's it. The race began and we were off to lap 1 of 50.
All right.
That's all. You ready to go to therapy?
Oh, yeah.
Alexa Bliss is with the therapist. This has to be the most dull therapist ever. This guy. There's no charm to this man. There is nothing redeeming about him.
Are therapists usually charming? Is that a qualification of the job?
You know what?
I guess if you're a wrestling TV therapist, then perhaps.
I want someone with like a pulse. That's what I require of a television therapist. He can see that the wheels are spinning and said that Lilly was real, and I don't even know. Okay, so this is where they go through this like Rolodex of childhood photos where Lilly has been inserted into these child photos of Alexa Bliss. And Alexa explains that Lilly always had her back. I hate doing these. I hate recapping these stupid segments. There's no point to these other than it was a shop ad.
Okay.
And is asked about Lilly potentially returning. And Alexa says what she would do, hugging her, dressing her up, watch scary movies. And the therapist informs Alexa he has a replica doll of Lilly, but warns her this is not the real one. But Alexa gets very emotional when she sees the replica.
We might as well go through both of these segments, John. So we don't have to do
go through them all. I want to just
so they pick this back up later on in the show, and it's Alexa holding Lilly, and she's crying, like tears, and getting really emotional. I suppose with the idea that she actually thinks this is real, or I don't know, she's unlocking some sort of deep emotion, and the therapist is like, Alexa, this is not real. This is just a replica. I got it at WWE Shop.
That's what he literally says. I got this at WWEshop.com.
Yeah. So, that was that. The sort of most interesting aspect of this, and I want to credit John Cena, who was the first to bring this to my attention. I think online there are other people that are noticing this as well, is the fact that Alexa's appearance is gradually changing with every single one of these segments, and slowly the sort of demonness of it all is slowly reverting back. And there are images that Sino sent me one out there, which is basically first week she did one of these, she's in full sort of a pigtail type of Harley Quinn dark makeup type of getup. And then I guess as the weeks progress, the hairs come down, the color in the hair is starting to fade. And now this week, instead of black lipstick, she's reverted back to at least a darker red lipstick. So it's at least a theory that, I mean, I think it's a pretty good one too, that like, at least gives some point to some of these. But it's at least the idea that she's slowly, with these therapy sessions, losing the demon within her.
It's award-winning stuff that is coming at us here from this story. I have nothing to add. The Miz versus Dominik Mysterio. Ray was out in the corner, and Miz starts yelling at Ray with the explanation that Miz wants to be on the cover of the 2K video game. So Miz gets out of the way of a 619 and shoves Ray into the desk and ends up coming back, nailing Dominik with a kick. And then behind the referee's back, Miz trips and blames it on Ray. So when the referee turns around, he ejects Ray. And from this, Dominik is the one distracted as Miz hits a skull-crushing finale and pins this poor dude in 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Just like outsmarted these two Mysterios like at the drop of a hat. And that's it. Miz is upset he's not on the cover of the video game. Yeah, maybe they'll put the video game on the line. Miz versus Ray for the rights to be on the 2K cover.
I think it's a bit late for that. They probably printed them all already. All the promotional materials done. Maybe it could be a DLC, like, I don't know, X special edition release cover, perhaps.
Yeah, he really should have gotten like the details on this months ago and started a plan. It's a little late now.
Yeah, but this looks to be the next feud for both men here. Miz coming off of the Edge thing with Maurice. Maurice seems to have kind of gone back to family life, I suppose, off screen, and Ray and Dominik now have the Miz to contend with. And I think as characters, like it seems like it's a relatively good match because one is very hateable and the other is eternally likable in Rey Mysterio. So
where does Dominik fit in?
Well, ultimately, maybe this is all going to be Dominik. Like, as I think Ray's entire run right now is all so that he can help make his son into a star.
This match did not make Dominik look like a star.
No, it'll certainly take some time. I mean, in the end, it's they're not going to win this feud, right? Like it's going to be the Miz coming out of this on top.
Well, then I don't know if any of this is doing much for young Dominik. But
yeah. But I mean, it'll help the Miz, I suppose. In their minds, I don't know. In their minds, they want to make TV, and I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be entertaining.
Tamina went after Dana Brooke in the back. This is just a backdrop for Riddle and Gable to pass, and they've already completed 18 laps already. So they were going extremely quick at the beginning, and then they dragged out the final 32 laps over like an hour.
Oh, you get tired on those.
Maybe they got
laps.
tired. They were fatigued. You're right. For an Olympic athlete and an ex-MMA fighter, you would think like their cardio would be up for this.
Scooting is a whole different type of cardio, John.
It's very true. So Riddle rides the scooter and runs into Omos and notes he has beautiful eyes, and Gable passes him. And that was it. That was all Omos had. So, I mean, if Damian Priest was not there, I mean, that would lend credence that maybe they are going in that direction and had nothing for Omos tonight because this was all they had for him.
Was there much? Because Omos eliminated Priest last night.
Omos eliminated Damian Priest, and you didn't have Omos tied to any of these qualifying matches. So he's obviously not going in that direction on the Raw side.
Are you suggesting they do this at Saudi Arabia or WrestleMania?
Perhaps Saudi Arabia, since neither of them are going to be like those are two. Damian Priest and Omos, you would think those would be two names that you would have in your qualifiers for the chamber match. So if they were held aside from those, yeah, I would think maybe they're going to do this at Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
The Kevin Owens show. This is when the real build to WrestleMania begins, because now everyone's got a plug. The most stupendous two-night WrestleMania of all time. And there's no one I'm going to enjoy doing this more every week than Kevin Owens, who explained, everyone, we are on the road to, listen to this word, stupendous. The most stupendous two-night WrestleMania of all time. And it's 2 nights, so that means it's double the stupendousness. This is the only guy that can get around just this absolute ridiculous tagline. The most stupendous two-night WrestleMania of all time. Owens states that he is in the Elimination Chamber match as soon as he beats Austin Theory tonight. But his guest is Seth Rollins, who comes out and he puts over Cincinnati and got a very positive reaction. He said it's really hot here in Cincinnati. No insult. He was very much playing a babyface here.
Yep, that was certainly a takeaway. And I almost felt like it was a bit heavy-handed for him to just come out there and do the generic, put the hometown over thing off the top here. But maybe necessary.
They almost had to. Like, they clearly wanted to show you he was a babyface, and I guess that was the easiest way to do it, was give the signal at the beginning by complimenting the hometown.
Yeah, and the energy was there. He had they booked him to be sympathetic the night prior. He, I think, played very much more of the crowd favorite against Roman Reigns, and tonight just almost felt like a way to cement it. And I suppose the cement came in the form of this, heavy-handed hometown mention.
They played footage of the match from the Rumble, and Owens calls it disgusting and shameful. And Reigns knew he could not beat Rollins, so Owens calls him the Universal Champion of my heart. And dude, the close-up here of Seth Rollins, it looked like he was about to crack when this line was delivered to him. And Rollins says he has a permanent piece of real estate in Reigns' head, and I can go back there anytime I want and get the Universal title. But that's SmackDown business, and this is Raw. If this is this program being put on hold now indefinitely, I will hate that finish that much more. But we will see if Rollins appears on SmackDown in the near future. Although there really is, again, it's very conflicting now because Rollins is now tied to this chamber match. There's really nowhere to go with this Reigns program at the moment.
It wouldn't be until after WrestleMania at this point. Rollins is tied up until Elimination Chamber, and then Reigns will be tied up until Mania. So I think they want to leave room for a rematch down the road between these two. But you're right. Like, did they need to do a DQ finish? I mean, I think we're going to see that it's because they wanted to protect Rollins. But I mean, much of that will depend on the chamber. If he's going to end up losing in the chamber anyway, then did he need to be protected?
As I look at it, it's like, listen, I understand that the larger star is probably Seth Rollins, but given this story, if in your mind, you're going to revisit this in the spring, in the summer, whatever, we've established, like, the Shield thing works for this crowd. And it certainly, like, there is a lot of story there that you can explore. The timing is not great. That I think if you just needed a makeshift opponent, you could have put Kevin Owens in this role and tied him with Rollins. You still could have got Rollins on SmackDown, teasing this eventual showdown with Reigns and Rollins. But at least you get through this, and you don't just blast through this Rollins match. That I just think the timing was off to do this, because it is a potentially big story.
So who would you have put against Reigns?
Owens.
So Owens versus Reigns, and then have Seth tied to it to somehow tell a
You
bit
can
of a
have
story.
Reigns just destroy this best friend, which I think does add some sympathy on Owens, and it completes the turn for Rollins, where you see him having like this care for his friend that has been slaughtered.
But they've already done Reigns versus Owens last year.
They've also done Reigns and Rollins.
It is fresher though, because Rollins and the Tribal Chief have never gone up against each other. Whereas I think Owens versus the Tribal Chief probably wasn't sexy
So why
enough.
do it now? Why do it now when you can't continue it?
Well, to do it at the Rumble, to them, they wanted a big match for the Rumble, and of the options that they had, they liked the idea of doing Seth versus Reigns as one of the headlining acts of that match. I mean, in an ideal world, this would go more, they wouldn't have done that finish, okay? But to lead you to think that they should drag this on for another month. I'm not arguing for that booking whatsoever. I'm trying to just get into their minds about why they would have done that. And the only explanation is that, okay, number one, they wanted to have Reigns versus Rollins because they thought it was a big enough match for that stadium. Okay, they got through that. Well, at the same time, you have to protect Reigns. You have to keep the title on him. And for whatever reason, they felt the need to protect Rollins. Maybe they felt, again, I'm only speculating, maybe they felt that finish was the way to make Rollins a babyface rather than have him, lose clean. And how would you say that this was a more effective way of turning Seth Rollins into a babyface after last night, or would you have done something else?
I don't think it takes all that that large of an adjustment to turn Rollins. I think that people are, I think that transition can be a lot smoother than maybe people think it can be. It's just the combination of the finish, and you did that huge chair attack. So I think it almost requires some kind of follow-up from Rollins. Like he got destroyed with those chairs, and there was no reference to that in terms of him walking out. He was fine tonight. He was totally fine for it. So it's like it almost requires a follow-up, and maybe we'll get that on Friday. Maybe he will be there on SmackDown, and they're going to at least either they put it on pause or continue it. Like I just think they did so much on Saturday that to just say, well, we'll revisit this down the road. I think that's just kind of
I guess I took the chair attack to be more of a conclusion for Reigns' story rather than maybe the continuation of this rivalry. Like because the idea that Reigns has been so kind of consumed with this chair thing that Seth Rollins did to him years ago, he finally delivered some comeuppance to satisfy his own neurosis. And yeah, like I think it's something they can revisit, but I just don't see it happening in the next 2 months.
Well, getting back to this program, he says Lashley is the new champion, and he announces that he will be in the Elimination Chamber match, although he doesn't have to qualify, and Owens is somewhat surprised by this. So Owens suggests that Rollins go and demand that Kevin Owens be added to the match without having to qualify, or else Rollins should threaten to walk out. And Rollins said, listen, Kevin, it's 2 days right after the Royal Rumble in the state of Ohio. You do not walk out on the company.
Oh.
No, he did not say that. But anyway, Rollins is hesitating, and before he can turn down Owens' request, Austin Theory comes out because, damn it, he wants to have his match, and that's what we went into here. Entertaining segment here with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, they're fun. I thought they hit on that, again, Jericho-Owens type of vibe. It's not as strong as that pairing, obviously, but I think Owens is kind of trying his best to drag it into that direction. It does make you wonder, like, what is the end game for this pair? Like is when are we going to see the culmination of the Seth Rollins Kevin Owens thing? Because at this point, I don't think it doesn't feel like it's Mania worthy. Do you how long do you think that relationship goes before we see whatever the climax is supposed to be between them?
Well, if Reigns is like the spring summer program, maybe this should be the fall winter program. But they can shoot the angle next week and have their first match and then defer.
Or maybe they'll just end it on TV.
Yeah. But coming out of this though, like they are like teasing that for the chamber match of, both of them want to win it. And I guess we'll see if they kind of explore that in the chamber match.
Owens isn't going to be in it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. So we go to this qualifying match. I still didn't process here that he did not win this. So it's Owens and Austin Theory, and they had like a really intense match here for 2 segments. Owens is all over him, delivering chops, and then Theory rolls to the floor on a cannonball attempt. They went through here. Theory keeps getting out of the ring, and Owens would go after him, and then Theory takes him by the head and just whips him down onto the steps. This looked like it sucked. On a scale of 1 to 10, like a 15.
Yep. Did not look fun.
He just cracked him onto these steps. There's Owens comes back though. Springboard twisting moonsault misses. The ATL gets countered. There's a cross-legged Ushigoroshi by Theory. Stunner gets blocked. Owens super kick and swanton, and then a fisherman buster off of the turnbuckle. But Theory gets his foot on the rope. And from the floor, Theory avoids the apron bomb and then kicks the middle rope into the groin of Owens and hits the ATL. Austin Theory wins, and I guess there's our answer. We were speculating on, would Kevin Owens go to Saudi Arabia or not? It appears he is not.
Oh, I didn't even think about the Saudi Arabia connection.
That's what was most interesting here for me in this match, because storyline-wise, I thought for sure after they teased this, they would put that Owens was going to be in the match, given the way it was set up with him and Rollins. But no, Theory won.
Right, okay, very interesting. Yeah, and no Vince on this one.
No Vince on the show either.
Where's the congrats? No. Maybe next week.
Yes. Good match though between the two. I thought Owens worked super hard in this match.
He always does, which makes him kind of being a heel. And if this Rollins thing continues, I mean, you would expect he would be the heel against Rollins, a fresh babyface now. He's so entertaining in ring that it's just, I mean, it's such a babyface style. But of course, he's a great heel as well. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
Riddle stops for a drink with the Street Profits, and then Gable stops and is looking for a drink, and they won't give him one. So Otis appears and gives him the red cup that contained steak sauce.
Yeah, clear steak sauce.
This was like a really liquid steak sauce. So
interesting.
Yeah, this was hilarious. Dolph Ziggler against Cincinnati's own Angelo Dawkins. It's like, oh God, this isn't going to be good. The announcers explained how Dolph Ziggler is a gatekeeper, but he's like your favorite fighter's fighter in that all of the guys think that he's the best.
Okay.
Got that? Yes.
I do. Yeah, I get the idea. Like, he's like sort of the king of the gym, like the underappreciated, the worker's favorite, which maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. Maybe.
Ziggler is controlling him in the beginning of the match, making fun of him, and then Dawkins hits a twisting splash in the corner, facebuster. Pop-up gets countered into this awkward-looking DDT. Crowd was pretty quiet at this point, and I guess that was appropriate. Maybe they knew what was coming, because then Angelo Dawkins hit the silencer and won the match. And I just was shocked here, because the guy from Cincinnati won. He celebrated in front of his fans. No one jumped him. No one attacked him. No one left him for dead. He was just a hometown guy winning in his hometown and getting a nice reaction for winning in his hometown.
Well, that's nice for Dawkins. Sure. Yeah, I thought it was a fine match, even good. But I don't know. I think even in front of this hometown crowd, the interest seemed relatively low.
I did not think this was a very heated match at all.
Yeah, the heat seemed pretty low. And I mean, for one thing, you're talking about, two of several characters in that men's rumble. And they're just examples of how little interest there is in any of these characters, how little value and how little, I think, importance, any of them have, how little story all of them have as far as, like what their aspirations are towards what championships. Do any of us want to see the Street Profits versus Ziggler and Roode again? Do any of us want to see either team go for the championships again? They've beaten the shit out of both of those chases. Nobody cares. So to give me a singles version of that eventual match, I couldn't trick my brain into being excited to watch another Dolph Ziggler match. Like, it's like trying to trick my brain to get excited about eating lettuce. It's there. Like, I know it's healthy for me, I suppose. Like, I know I have to get through this to get to my main course, but it does nothing for me.
Okay, but how about this? Dawkins beats Ziggler. Next week, Ziggler beats Ford. The next week, Dawkins beats Roode. The week after that, Roode beats Ford. But then the following week, during the tag match, there's a disqualification. And then that leads to a no disqualification match. But before the no disqualification match, Ziggler beats Ford, and then Dawkins beats Roode.
I don't know why.
Ziggler and Roode beat the Street Profits at the end.
Well, that sounds epic, John.
And I mean, it started again.
I don't know why you have to kind of mix a match like that. They could just do the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dogs every single week and just flip.
No, you got to be creative, way. You got to be creative, okay? You got to keep people on the edge of their seat.
We got 7 hours of TV to create every single week. Are you kidding me? No room for that. This is just another match. We got to fill the hours, John.
Well, they're not filling any of the hours with Veer, but his video got an update because he announced, "Soon I will strike." I would argue the man's been on strike since October.
Yeah. The upgrades to me, like, it looked like the same video, dude, except with like green effects instead of red now. So they swapped the green filter for the red filter. So
see, it's a sign. It's a sign, way.
Maybe it's part of the subtle progression we're seeing with these Alexa segments, Like next week it'll be blue. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Red, green, blue. He's gonna RGB. He's a video technician. I don't know. Sorry.
Kevin Patrick is at ringside with R-Truth. He asks, it might be a photo finish here between Riddle and Gable. Who do you think will win? And Truth says, the Bengals. And this did not it got a pop, but I thought this place would just explode at this. They did not.
This shit is just so, it just feels so low effort, right? Like you can have so much fun with hometown teams, and whether or not you're trying to get heat or I don't know, have fun with it. Anyway, I'm not a football fan. I shouldn't care that much.
Well, Gable comes down with Riddle. He wipes out at the bottom of the ramp. So Riddle is just like glad handing and slowly about to cross the line when all of a sudden Otis shows up and murders him. And down goes Riddle before he can cross the finish line. So instead, Gable gets up. He not only passes Riddle, he circles around him and then crosses the finish line. Dude, Chad Gable is so entertaining. I think he's genuinely funny.
I think he's okay.
Oh, come on. This guy's great.
Okay. I think he's trying his best to, or they're trying their best to mold him into sort of like a comedy Kurt Angle.
I'll take it.
Character. I think it's okay.
Riddle says, that's not cool. You lost all the integrity of the race. Gable's trying to get this shoosh thing over. I don't know if he's going to have success.
He's been trying for years.
Yeah, it's has he been trying for years?
The shush thing is something he's been doing ever since the end of the Shorty G.
Okay, so. I'm only picking up on it now. Gable says he has never cheated in his life and makes a match between Riddle and Otis. And then Pierce comes out to note this will now be an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. These two didn't even want to be in the match.
True.
Oh, we wanted the weekend off. It's like, I don't want to go all the way there for this chamber match. Neither of us are winning. So Otis is just dominating him.
Sorry. Just before we get to the match itself, I mean, there was more than one hint towards, mentioning Kurt Angle here. Like, I mean, first of all, it was Gable talking about going to some of his Olympian friends. And then Riddle here, even in the promo, specifically made an effort to emphasize the word integrity. So I thought
that's probably what he's coming back for. He said he's coming back for a role over the next month.
It would make sense it would be this program. I thought we were just going to get it tonight. So it doesn't make me 100% sure that we're actually even going to get it. But maybe if there's any program, you would expect it would be this one.
Well, you're right. Like the integrity thing, that and the Olympics. You definitely got the teases for it that it should be Kurt coming in for something with Gable.
Watch, it's Kurt Angle like being a part of the Street Profits or something. I'm gonna make him a third member of the Street Profits.
Lots of possibilities there. So anyway, Otis is killing him. He hit a Judas effect, not identified as such. Just sent Riddle flying, T-bone out of the corner. Riddle finally hits a pair of ripcord knees and drops him and hits a floating bro off the top. This wakes up the crowd. They wanted to get behind Riddle, but the heat was just so long that the crowd was just kind of checked out at this. He signals for the RKO. It's blocked and then hits another floating bro into a jackknife cover, pinning Otis in 7:26. So Riddle will be in the chamber match.
Yeah. I mean, just seemed like a match to get Riddle in there, using the current feud that he was engaged in. I thought
and second event in a row where he's going to get to have interaction with his pal Brock.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Can you remind me about that whole thing? Like it's been so long. Like what exactly was
Riddle was trying to get something going with Brock. And the word was like Brock pretty much informed him, I will never be working with you. And I guess that's subsided. Riddle, he had the same issues going on with Goldberg as well.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see if they'll even have any interaction. There's a chance they might not. So whatever. Yeah, sure. Riddle's a big enough name. Yeah.
Carmella and Bianca Bel-Air. Carmella put her mask on and Bel-Air goes to whip her with the braid and Carmella screams, but Bel-Air does not whip her. And instead Carmella comes back and slaps her. And then Carmella took over with this rear chin lock from hell that lasted forever. She just kept us on. Bel-Air finally escaped. Vertical suplex, KOD, and won. I looked down and I was expecting to see like 13 minutes on my watch. And it was 5.5. This felt so long.
Yeah.
It was just all Carmella with just this rear chin lock. Felt like 70% of the match.
You know, Carmella usually isn't that good in ring, but I thought even for her tonight felt exceptionally bad. Chinlock aside, it was like, I mean, I think an overabundance of reliance on the theatrics, which is, I mean, much of it is the character. Okay, like
she does get booze for some of her, you know, mannerisms.
But I think it was so much of it and not enough actual in ring wrestling. You know, like whatever wrestling was there. First of all, like whatever she was doing in the corner with Bianca looked awkward as hell. Like the way Bianca was doing those shoulder tackles in the corner, and like one of Carmella's responses was just to like walk into Bianca. Seemingly, it looked incredibly awkward. And then when it was time for like Carmella to deliver her strikes, and I hesitate to even call them that. I mean, it was just like shitty looking, kind of like. You know, like it reminded me back to the type of wrestling matches from the women's division we got before women were expected to be serious professional wrestlers. So I know that this was meant to be a strong win for Bianca ahead of whatever she's got coming up, but it didn't even feel that way because number one, the match wasn't very good. I don't think there was necessarily anything impressive on the Bianca side of things in terms of her offense. So it was just a shitty match.
Yeah, I did not think this was, and the audience was checked out of it as well. So anyway, Alexa Bliss. This is our big WWE.com ad. Kevin Patrick interviewed Alpha Academy, and Gable laughs about winning the race. And next week will be the Quiz Bowl, where RK Bro is going to lose the bowl, just like the Bengals are going to lose their upcoming bowl game.
Is that the only reason why they're calling it a quiz bowl?
I'm sure there will be a joke about Riddle smoking the bowl next week. I'm sure that will play itself out. So we'll get at least 2 jokes out of this name.
Quiz bowl. Okay. Yeah, Quiznos. It looks like a Quizno bowl. You ever go?
How many Quiznos are around? Because they used to be, you could throw a rock and you'd hit a Quiznos in the city. And now they're very few and far between. Yeah,
I would say about like 10 years ago, they had a big expansion here in Canada. But now let me look, Quiznos Toronto. I think there's one at like King and...
There's one at King and Bathurst. Yes.
Quiznos Canada. I think they're all closed.
All of them?
Yeah, it seems like they're all everyone says permanently closed.
Like it's a chain that it was like, you're right. Like 10 years ago, like honestly, it was just everywhere. You could never go somewhere and not see like a Quiznos in sight. And now
they're trying to take over.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Is Quiznos Canada done? Quiznos Canada.
Is the one at Bathurst and King gone too? This is the conversation for our worldwide audience. What's going on at King and Bathurst?
Okay, so as I can't chat room, give me an update on Quiznos. We need to know. I can't find any good information on Quiznos in Canada here. But what I mean, Quiznos or Subway? What's your choice?
Oh, I love Quiznos. I like Quiznos a lot more than Subway.
like Quiznos more too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wasn't saying like I didn't like Quiznos. I like Quiznos.
I don't know if that's controversial around here. You know?
No, I definitely like a 10-8 round for me on Quiznos.
I like the fact that like they already kind of pre-make it. I don't want the pressure of having to pick my own toppings, you know? I'm no artisan. I'm no Subway sandwich artist.
It's one of my pet peeves about Harvey's. Like I just want to order my food. I don't want to come and like have to give off like a list of everything I want on it. It's a lot
of pressure. What if I make the wrong choice?
It's that, and it's just like too much. I
don't know the chemistry like you guys do. That's why I pay you to make the decisions for me. No. All right. So that said, I haven't been to one in a long time.
It's like what if you want like 6 things? Do you just list them all and expect this guy to remember them, or do you pace it in the between? Do you say, "Can I get the lettuce, tomatoes?" Let him do it.
See, that's
and then I want this, and then I want this, and then I want this. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
When I'm at Subway, that is the temptation, right?
Yeah.
I have the option of having the lettuce and the pickles and all the 6 sauces. Well, I mean, I'm thinking about value here. I'm gonna get every one, and then of course the sandwich does not taste as good because too much of everything is not a good thing.
Oh yeah, you have to go moderate. Yeah, you get too much.
It's like paint.
Taste nothing.
It's like paint. You use every single color. You just end up with like a brown painting, right? You got to know chemistry, and I don't trust myself. I'm not, So anyway, maybe we'll go to Quiznos eventually. For one of these.
When I was in elementary school, this is the worst. One of my friends, he would do this thing where he'd never do it at the same location more than like twice, but he'd go in and he'd order like, I'll get 4 junior burgers, and they'd put the burgers on and they make them fresh, and he'd just walk out. He'd just leave.
What the fuck?
He just won't make a big order, and then he'd walk out and leave. And the orders would just get up and up. Like, you once ordered like 6. It's like you can fathom someone would have 6 junior burgers because they're like these little things. So they put them on and just leave.
That's awful.
Who would do that?
That's like, you're going to hell for that, man. You're ruining somebody's day. You're wasting food. At
what point?
It's hilarious, but I mean, it's terrible. He just got off on this? Like, he would just go from like...
He did it many times. And I was like, we'd leave. It's like, at what point are they going to realize this guy's not coming back? It's like, you got 6 burgers on the grill. And I don't know why I'm thinking about it
terrible.
now. Oh, it was a horrible thing to do. Just horrible.
Do you still talk to this friend?
No, I don't. I never participated in this. I will have you know. I wanted the burger. I would go into a Harvey's because I was hungry.
I don't want you to out this friend, but the next time you talk to this friend, please bring this up. And I need to know, let us know if he is at least remorseful. Okay? And if he's not, I think you should pay for every single one of those. You just walk into a Harvey's one day and just like plop down $1,000. Like,
I'm so sorry. Can you please split this across like 5 different locations in the city of Toronto?
That's terrible.
Next week, they're in Denver and on Sci-Fi. Last match was AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio, Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Nice match that they had here. Mysterio did the sliding splash and then sent AJ into the barricade with a Rana. Through the break they go. AJ avoided a 619, and then Rey ducked the phenomenal forearm. And they both they have a double down spot after Rey rolls out of a calf crusher, kicking him in the head. And then Rey goes for the top rope Frankensteiner. It's blocked, and AJ Styles goes for the Tetsuya Naito spot he did at Wrestle Kingdom 9. He's teasing the Styles Clash. No effing way was he going to be hitting this on Rey Mysterio. And he blocked it, sent AJ into the middle rope, 619, misses the frog splash. Rey with the senton, but a roll through into the Styles Clash, and AJ pins Rey. But a really nice match between these two for the limited time they had.
Yeah, on a TV show, where you're not expecting anything. We didn't know this match was going to happen. AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio, sure, why not? I'll take it at this point. Usually like in a different setting, this would be a dream match. This would be a headliner. But
I looked it up.
Show,
you know how many times they've had singles matches? This wasn't the first.
3.
They had 3 singles matches before this in 6 years.
I just made that up.
Which awesome. Rey wasn't there for the whole time, but you understand what I'm saying. This is not a match that they have exhausted, certainly.
Yeah, but it's like, have there been any like, hey, you remember this AJ Styles? Like, can you remember any of them?
No, I looked them up. Like, they were all like, one was on a live event and the other 2 were on Raw. Like, nothing like big matches.
They're not special, right? But like, obviously they have the potential to do something special. I mean, it's hard to complain about getting this on TV. It was a very good match, but I can't say I'll remember this one afterwards either.
So those are our 6 for the Chamber: Lashley, Lesnar, Rollins, Riddle, Austin Theory, and AJ Styles. Do you see these 6? Do you see anyone getting, like, there were some major stars not on the show. Could you see anyone getting bumped out?
Anything can happen. Absolutely. It could be Austin Theory as a way to further this Vince McMahon disappointment story, perhaps. He might be somebody who might be kicked off. Could be AJ Styles. It won't be Brock. I don't think it'll be Brock. Could be Riddle. I know Big E is officially on SmackDown, so I don't think we were expecting him to be a part of this anyway. But
no, I wonder how many people watched tonight and saw this as like confirmation Big E's gone from Raw.
I can probably say a whole lot, yeah, because I don't know how.
I watched SmackDown and it didn't click with me. When I heard them say he's officially back on SmackDown, I just took that to be he's physically on SmackDown tonight. But it was after that we saw that he's actually moved.
Because I think still in a lot of people's minds, I think a lot of people still think Big E is going to be a contender for the Raw Championship. Because of course we also have we got Brock and Roman for the SmackDown Championship. I think a lot of people are still thinking about Big E as a potential candidate to face either Bobby Lashley or whoever else for the Raw title. And
Well, it's a weird time to move him then.
and I'm saying I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah,
And,
I'm not holding my breath on that one.
Yeah.
So final segment, we went over a bit of it, but Ronda comes out and good reaction here for the crowd in Cincinnati. They kept this for the end. She says she's been debating since Saturday whose title she wants to take, Charlotte's or Rebecca's. She has unfinished business with both, and that for either one of them, their biggest match is with me. But I don't want to help Rebecca or her stagnating title reign. So I could choose Flair and keep Rebecca on my undercard, and everyone will know that I'm the baddest big-time bitch.
And that was it.
That was it.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it off the top, but she was really rough here. Again, not very good before, but I think she felt even more pronounced in her awkwardness and rustiness. I thought this was too much to give her coming back from it. And, you know, she's not an actress, everybody. You know, despite what you saw in Fast and Furious 7, 6, whatever. She wasn't really. She's a celebrity. She's an athlete, okay. And this was a role that requires somebody with at least a bit more experience doing that sort of public speaking and public performance. She feels like somebody who's whose head is too much in the script and regurgitating dialogue rather than actually living the character. And that just takes time. That takes comfort. She hasn't found it yet. She certainly seems like a long way away from it tonight. So not good.
Becky comes out and calls her a weirdo, and she's spilling nonsense, notes she's the only one to beat Rousey. The two of them represent the biggest match of the past decade, but I wouldn't blame you for coming back with an appetizer like Charlotte before the main course in me. And Becky wants Rousey to choose, and then Rousey grabs her by the arm, throws her to the mat, and tells her she will get her answer on Friday, which the crowd booed. And then Becky says that Rousey fears her and insults Cincinnati. So, yeah, I didn't think this was like a great segment from Ronda in this. And the way this was positioned, I mean, they like are going out of their way to kind of lead you towards like Becky and Ronda is the big match. So they not only does Ronda have to have a much better appearance on Friday, they've got to do something really compelling to make the audience want Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair now, when if the idea is keeping Becky for a date in the future, because I think like at the end of this, if there's a match you want, like they flat out said, like that is the big match. And from a story perspective, like Becky was the one to beat Rousey in that triple threat. Like that should be Rousey's target.
Yeah. And you know, by this point, I think a lot of us have heard the reports that they've got Ronda for 2 WrestleManias. The idea is that they want to do Charlotte now and Ronda next year, and so you can, I guess, presume they are starting the build for next year's WrestleMania already with this sort of thing. But I just really don't think
let's build this year's WrestleMania first, though.
Exactly, and I don't think portraying and convincing the audience that, hey, you're gonna pay for the appetizer, okay? Like, wait a year for the main course.
Most stupendous appetizer.
Yeah, we're going to force you the appetizer for dinner. Come back next time and we're going to actually give you dinner.
Oh my God, wait, they're giving you lettuce.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I don't think a lettuce that'll be very satisfying, because at this point, you know, portraying Ronda the way she has as being this sort of angry, constantly angry, heelish type of character against somebody who also is not very well liked by the audience, that's a recipe for disaster. Not a great salad.
Yeah. I'll repeat myself. Like if it was Ronda and Becky for the next 2 months of TV, I think Becky would be the overwhelming fan favorite going into this, and I think you would see the audience turning on Ronda if this is the version of Ronda you see each week, which I don't even think would be the worst idea either.
I know they think, like, for some reason, like they think Charlotte and Ronda and Becky is by far the biggest match, but I wouldn't say Charlotte and Ronda is the second biggest match. I think Sasha Ronda is the second biggest match, if not even, you know, Becky, I think it feels bigger, but I mean, Sasha is the bigger star than Charlotte. So I don't know why that's not in contention or something that they're considering.
Well, it ended with Ronda left, and then Lita's music played, And she comes out, she's wearing a Becky Lynch t-shirt, and the crowd is chanting for her. She says how Becky has lifted this division. It's never been hotter. And Becky says, I'm a fan of you, Lita, and calls Becky a fighting champion that never backs down, and thus challenges Becky for Elimination Chamber. Becky says no, and Lita says, if you're scared, just say so. And Becky says, damn it, I can't be scared. Fine, I'll face you. And she got it. But I thought Lita did very well here, and the crowd was really into it. And I'm glad that they had this to end the show on, because that would have been a really bad ending to the show if they had left it off the Rousey judo throw and then walking out.
Yeah. Honestly, in hindsight, I feel like you're dealing with a character who's not very good when she speaks. So I think the judo throw would have been fine. She should be given one of those silent builds where she just kind of comes out, looks mean, does the move, walks out, doesn't say a word. Anyway, yeah, Lita here. I mean, after on the mic, I don't think Lita is great, but on the mic after Ronda, she felt like a real savior of this segment. She has, I suppose, the level of star power you want for a Becky Lynch challenge on a show, I suppose, that they would consider as big as a Saudi Arabia show. But God, in the Rumble, she did not look good. She looked really, really rough. In this match, I have concern for. But then again, it's also Saudi Arabia, where shitty matches feels like it's, I don't know, just part.
Not the last show. The last show was a really good one.
Was it? Okay. I don't
the one with the Edge Rollins
much.
one. It was certainly the best one of the Saudi Arabia shows since 2018. For sure, It was the best show.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's Lita is one of the biggest names that was a part of that Rumble. Lita versus Becky has sort of dream match qualities to it, to a casual fan that might spark some interest. So I can understand them doing this.
And that was Raw. So anyway, a lot in terms of just news from the show and setting up Elimination Chamber. So they had a lot of and confirming the main event for WrestleMania off the top two with Lesnar and Reigns. So you certainly got a lot of news from this show. I would say match-wise, I liked AJ and Ray, and that's about where the wrestling peaked for me.
Yeah, again, I don't watch these shows for the wrestling, unfortunately, anymore. If there's a great match, it's a bonus, but I'm not going to remember any of the wrestling on the show, unfortunately, John, after doing this podcast with you.
You're right. You get therapy sessions, you get scooter races, you get...
I don't watch the show for that either. I watch the show because I have to do this podcast.
That's a great reason. A great reason.
But clearly, the bulk effort of the show's production is put into the angles. And yeah, it looks like, maybe we're getting some sort of return to the former Alexa Bliss. They set up the Elimination Chamber here, so a lot of work was done in that sense, and getting challenged from Lita to set up our Elimination Chamber matches.
Well, we're not going to end the show on a low note, because I forgot to mention off the top, we have the results. The results are in way for our post-wrestling Royal Rumble pool. We have enlisted our closest thing to Price Waterhouse to adjudicate the point totals, our own Chris Engler, mapping out the entire field of pool entries, which hit a cool 304 entrants that signed up last week. So, Wai, do you want to go through any of the stats and who finished on top of this year's Rumble pool?
Yeah, a lot of stats here from Chris Engler, and I'm going to go through some of these here. Here he starts off by telling us the number of people who chose the accurate response and also the percentage. So how many people accurately predicted that Brock Lesnar was going to win the Men's Royal Rumble? 41% of you, which means 125 people.
The man was not announced by the deadline, so that tells you of where people's minds were on Saturday afternoon.
I'm honestly a bit surprised that it's not even higher. I'm surprised it's not a majority, but you're right. He was not announced. So 41% of you accurately guessed that.
I would say a lot. Like my thinking was if he loses the title, that sets him up for Chamber, which he had been announced for. So I can see some people thinking that Lesnar going into the Rumble, it would be, what then do you do with him for the Chamber? But I guess we got that answer.
So there's that sort of, possibility. But Speaking of unannounced entrants, how many people accurately predicted that Ronda Rousey would win the Women's Royal Rumble? 55%. A majority this time around. So
see, that one is one I could have seen being even higher.
Right. The rumors were that strong, I suppose. This is a lot more particular and far tougher to guess, but how many people accurately guess that the number 2 entrant in the Men's Rumble would be Shinsuke Nakamura?
Huge.
2%, meaning 6 of you out of 304 accurately guessed that. Only how many? Okay, this is amazing.
This one's amazing.
How many people accurately guessed that Melina would be the second entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble? One person actually accurately guessed it. Okay,
That's
so
amazing.
Congratulations to whoever you are. You should get an award just for that reason. How many people accurately guessed Randy Orton would be 29? 7% of you. How many people accurately guessed that Shotzi would be number 29? 0.7%. Men's Rumble time, the longest this year was AJ Styles at 29 minutes and 6 seconds. 22% of people, 68 votes, accurately guessed that would be AJ Styles. How many people would accurately guess that Kofi Kingston would have the shortest time in the Men's Rumble at 21 seconds? 0. And that would probably include Kofi Kingston himself, because I don't think he realized he was going to be.
I did not know that stat that he was the shortest in the Rumble. That's
incredible.
Amazing.
I mean, in a way, I hope they play it up in terms of story. You know, like use it as a perfect fall from grace. You go from being the highlight of Rumbles every year to being the one eliminated the quickest. It's almost like a kind of poetic, you know.
What if it drives him nuts? And for this season, it's Kofi's Mania.
Kofi's Mania. Yes. Oh, okay, interesting.
Because it drives him nuts. He feels he's lost a step and he's got to find it. And
instead of 1 cookie, he crushes 2 cookies this time.
That's right.
That's how he shows his anger. Yeah. How many people would guess that Robert Roode would be the first eliminated? Only 5%, which is actually quite impressive. How many people accurately guessed that Drew McIntyre would be last eliminated? 4%. So
that's not bad. Like there was no speculation about Drew being in the Rumble. So the fact that this was not just people picking that he would be in the Rumble, that he would be eliminated last. So that's, 13 people, 4%.
The person who guessed closest to the total time of this year's Royal Rumble, which totaled 51 minutes, of the Men's Rumble, I should say, which was 51 minutes and 10 seconds, was Jason Pritchett, who accurately guessed who closest guessed 51 minutes and 27 seconds. And, that's all great, but now we're actually getting to the people who want, the winners of the pool. Out of a theoretical maximum of 132 points, which means that you would have had to accurately guess all of it, everything. Wow. Okay, this is a bit shocking. The top 3 point scorers of this year's post-Wrestling Royal Rumble pool. Number 3, congratulations to KR, who scored a possible 57 points out of a possible 132 points. So very good. And then at number 2, also with 57 points, but this person gets closer with the tiebreaker for the Men's Rumble time. Gavin Willens. Congratulations to you, Gavin Willens, coming in second place. Very good job.
I cannot believe this.
But the top point getter and the winner of the 2022 Post-Wrestling Royal Rumble pool with a whopping 59 points, Brandon from New Jersey.
How?
Now,
do a recount?
I'm curious, okay? Is this actually Brandon from New Jersey, or is this an imposter calling himself Brandon from New Jersey? Because I feel like I know Brandon's email, and I'm not sure if this is it.
This is a wild email address.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Let me see here.
Well, why would you put it under a different name? Because Brandon's going to get all the accolades now for this if it was not Brandon from New Jersey.
I mean,
why wouldn't you use your own nickname?
Maybe, I don't know. Like, who would want to impersonate Brandon from New Jersey? I mean, it could.
This is probably one of his many burner email accounts, so I'm sure it is Brandon.
You're right. It could be. Okay, well, in either case,
I bet it's not even a legit email address as I look at this. I'm not going to read it because it might be a real one.
Okay, well, I'm actually, because I feel like I know Brandon from New Jersey's email to the Patreon. I'm just going to cross-check for my own curiosity. Yeah, so the Brandon, this is a mystery. Okay, we're gonna get to the bottom of this, I'm sure, by the next rewind away. But Brandon from New Jersey's email on the Patreon is at least different from the one that was entered into this contest.
Oh man, this is gonna be the biggest controversy since Gaurav.
So I don't maybe a bit of hey, what would this the equivalent be? You know, like the two Earl Hebners, like is this like the two Undertakers, perhaps? Is this the real Brandon from New Jersey or not? We need to know. We got to get to the bottom of this. So tune in for more on the next episode. But congratulations to whoever you are that won it. And John, would you like to take us through, first of all, the Zero Club, people who earned absolutely 0 points in the pool?
Yes. Of the 301 people that submitted, 2 of you got a grand total of 0 points. And that honor goes in the form of a tie to Mark McKelvey and Suggs. Congratulations, both of you. If you're going to miss by an inch, miss by a mile. But my favorite, the funniest misspellings. Chris adds autocorrects. Let's just go and assume that these were blatantly misspelled. So here we are from some of the entries. We had Alexa Bloss, Beyond Inc. Bel-Air, Bonink.
Beyond Inc. I mean,
Beyond Inc. Bel-Air.
Bloss. I mean, Bloss is. I suppose I could somehow see autocorrect making that mistake, but like
the O and the I are next to one another. Possible.
Beyond Inc. from Bianca.
That's Bianca is nowhere in the area code of Beyond Inc.
All right.
Bobby Lashlex.
Sounds kind of cool.
Lashlex.
Sounds like a cool move, actually.
Not Christian, who's not in this company. Christine.
Huh.
Yes.
It's not bad.
The returning Johnny Gargano.
It's like a hulked up version of Johnny Gargano, perhaps.
Santoni Marella. No Santoni this year.
Santoni. Huh.
Rhea Ripple. Riple. Not even Ripple is spelled correctly.
Ripple.
This one's awesome. Rinda Royce. So Rinda Royce.
Not only did the person misspell Ronda, but they also misspelled Rousey.
Just a total butchering here of Ronda Rousey's name. But the best one, because I do not believe that this was a mistake. This was just how this person has probably assumed this person has been identified every week on TV. Mad Cat Moss.
Mad Cat.
Cat.
That's next year's gimmick, once he's done with this Happy Corbin thing.
I think so. So thank you, everyone. You never fail to entertain me with these misspellings every year. And again, a big thank you to Chris Engler for manning all of the standings, the point totals, and going through this and getting an extra day to do so as well. He used to just had to be up against the clock when we had to be back the next day. So WWE did him a solid this year. So thank you as always to Chris for
thank you so much.
The Royal Rumble pool.
Yeah. Winners, top 3 point getters, I will be in contact with you, including whether or not this person is Brandon from New Jersey. I've sent a message out to the real Brandon from... Hey, okay. Breaking news.
Of course, he got back to you in 2 minutes.
I have messaged the real Brandon from New Jersey, and the real Brandon from New Jersey is not standing up. This is not Brandon from New Jersey. This is an imposter.
An imposter?
Who is the imposter?
Well, we will never know because they did not submit their name, so they're not going to get any of the glory, none of the fame.
To be fair, they could also be named Brandon, who also lives in the state of New Jersey. But
there's only one Brandon from New Jersey, I think.
Okay, fascinating.
I think you have to adopt the city and give up the state.
Well, it's New Jersey City.
You can be Brandon from Trenton.
New Jersey City is a big city.
No, New Jersey's the state.
It's also a city, right? Jersey City. I guess.
Well, he's from New Jersey.
Okay, all right.
Doesn't say from Jersey City. All right. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up the post-Royal Rumble edition of Rewind to Raw. So thanks to everybody for joining us live. We're live here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. So that means we're just a few hours away from the post-daily news update. Tuesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We will be going through the SmackDown numbers, Rampage numbers, an update from Leo Rush, and plenty more news that we will be getting to on Tuesday. And then we're live Wednesday night at 10:15 Eastern for our double ice cap and espresso patrons with Rewind to Dynamite, 15 minutes after Dynamite concludes, featuring CM Punk and MJF from Chicago on Wednesday night. Should be a big edition of Dynamite.
Yeah, it should be really big. Oh, and also we'll find out Raw ratings, which should be really big too.
That's right. But those will not be out in time for the news update on Tuesday.
On Wednesday, I mean.
Right. Yes, we will go through those on Wednesday. So that is it for us. We are signing off. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Goodbye.